Mrs. Hayes, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. I'd like to start before I get into my questions by saying that I am a woman of deep personal faith, and my faith forces me to respect the faith of others. So the injection of biblical theology into this committee hearing is inappropriate. But if we were to talk about that, I would say that my faith is used as a shield to protect others and not a sword to hate or harm others. I guess I call myself a Matthew 25 Christian. But there's a few things that I would like to clarify or have the witnesses clear up before I get into my questions. Professor Shizer, my colleague suggested that students are getting away with hitting Jewish students on campus. Can you clarify that if someone physically attacks another student, that it's not just anti-Semitism, it is also assault?
Absolutely.
And does the university take action in those matters?
The university has to take action in those matters.
Thank you. Dr. Shafik, it's my understanding that the committee was told yesterday that Professor Mossad is under investigation. Is that correct?
I think I would like to confirm that in writing, if you don't mind.
I can't hear your answer.
I said I would like to confirm that in writing.
And can you also clarify that he no longer holds a leadership position?
I would like to confirm that in writing. And I'm happy to follow up with the committee on that matter.
Thank you. Can you get those things to the committee as soon as this concludes?
Absolutely.
I would appreciate that. There's no place for discrimination in education. No place at all. It should be the goal of all institutions at every level to create safe environments for students, free from harassment and violence. The rise in anti-Semitism on college campuses is unacceptable. According to the ADL, who released data yesterday, 2023 was the worst year for anti-Semitic incidents since the ADL began recording more than 4 decades ago. There were 8,873 incidents reported across the United States in 2023, an increase of 140% compared to 2022, which was also a record-setting year. According to that same report, Connecticut saw a 170% increase in anti-Semitic incidents in 2023. Islamophobia and anti-Muslim sentiments have also increased on college campuses. I applaud the Biden administration for releasing the national strategy to counter anti-Semitism and the investigations by the Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights for Anti-Semitism at Higher Education Institutes. This is not a problem that any one person or one group can solve, and we should be working here today on solutions. It is equally as important for school administrators to change the culture on their campuses. President Sharif, in your testimony, you stated that in October 2023, you quickly formed a task force. In the March 2024 report, the task force made a series of recommendations that we heard today. Can you tell us, has Columbia University begun to implement any of the recommendations made by the task force? And if so, what are they?
Yes, we have. In fact, our new demonstration policy was endorsed by the task force, and they had input into the idea of basically setting aside space where demonstrations can happen so students who don't want to hear certain words don't have to hear them, and that is already now implemented. Are there any enforcement mechanisms for those policies? Yes, if students don't adhere to those rules, the demonstration policy outlines a series of disciplinary measures that would result.
Thank you. And I know that there's a challenge of creating rules that appropriately distinguish between free speech and hate speech. But can you tell me what impact would an increase in funding have on the department's ability to respond to the rise in anti-Semitism? You heard my colleagues say that funding that does specifically this has been cut.
Is that to me?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Yes, we would. We know that there's a number of cases before the Department of Education around these issues. We would welcome guidance from the Department of Education as we try and define the boundaries, particularly around speech. So it would be helpful. But guidance
without money will not help you achieve these goals.
Yeah, it would be helpful, I think, from our perspective to get such information.
Thank you. I have no further questions. I yield back.
Thank you, Mrs. Hayes. Mr. Good, you're recognized